Jill Winger, and I am so excited to be sharing some of my favorite outdoor and garden DIYs with you today. So I've been a huge fan of making things for my home and even some homemade beauty products for years, but it wasn't until recently I realized I could make some pretty awesome DIY concoctions for all of my outdoor projects as well. So my family and I live out in the country on land. We like to raise our own animals, grow our own vegetables, and so we spend a lot of time outdoors doing a lot of different things. And over the last couple of years, I've discovered some really awesome recipes that have helped our outside projects and adventures in a big way. So I'm going to share some of my favorites with you today so you can recreate them at your own home. Okay, so the first recipe I'm going to share with you today is my DIY garden spray. There's nothing worse than spending a lot of time planting seeds, watering them, nurturing them, only to come out one morning and realize those pesky little environmental threats have come through and left holes all over your beautiful plants. This garden spray is a natural way to create a barrier and protect all of your hard work in your garden. So this is a simple recipe and you only need a few ingredients. First off, you're going to want to fill a quart-sized spray bottle with water. Just plain old water, nothing fancy, and just fill it all the way to the top. Next, you're going to need 3 essential oils. Now, you don't have to use these exact oils, but these happen to be some of the ones I've found to be most effective in my garden. These are clove, rosemary, and peppermint. You'll notice if you've ever grown rosemary or peppermint before, they can actually have a protective action when you plant them next to other vegetables. And so we're using that same action in our garden spray with the essential oils instead. So we're going to open up our spray bottle and add 20 drops of each of these 3 oils into our water. And the last thing we need to finish this recipe is a little bit of natural liquid dishwashing soap. It doesn't really matter exactly what brand. I just pick a natural version from my health food store. And the reason we're adding this is twofold. First off, it helps the essential oils to mix more thoroughly into the water. And secondly, it helps the solution to stick to the leaves of the plants a little more effectively. And so I usually add around 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of this into my spray bottle. And once everything is in there, we're going to replace the lid. Give it a gentle shake. And you're ready to head out to the garden. So a few tips as you use this on your vegetables or your flowers. It never hurts to do a little bit of test spray before you go and spray your entire garden. I've never had an adverse reaction from this spray, but it never hurts to be safe rather than sorry. Secondly, remember to apply frequently. This isn't something you can do once a month and call it good. I generally try to reapply my spray every day or at least every other day. It doesn't take a lot, just go through the garden, give it a quick spritz, but especially reapply if it's been raining a lot or you water with a sprinkler. So I hope you love this spray as much as I do, and here's to an awesome gardening season this year. So the next recipe I want to share with you is a simple homemade dog shampoo. So we honestly don't give our dogs baths very often, but every once in a while they just really need something a little extra. And so this is what I turn to for a soothing and gentle shampoo. So you just need a few easy ingredients. You're going to need a little bit of water, some Castile soap, and I like to use a mild version or even a baby version so it's extra gentle for their skin. And then cedarwood essential oil and lavender essential oil. We're just using tiny amounts of these, but it just is soothing and calming for bath time, which sometimes can get a little bit wild and crazy when you have a pet. So we're just going to add everything into a mixing bowl. We're going to add 2 cups of water, 1/4 cup of the Castile soap, and then 2 drops each of cedarwood and lavender. Give this a gentle stir, and that's it. I like to put mine in a squeezable bottle. It just makes bath time a little easier. And you just simply get your dog wet, put a little bit of shampoo. You're not going to use the whole recipe for a bath, just a little portion of it. Lather them up, rinse them off, and you'll be good to go. In the spring and summer months, my hands tend to take a beating. We're outside generally from sunup till sundown. I'm working in the garden, playing with my animals, playing with my kids, and I have a really bad habit of not wearing gloves when I'm working in the soil in my garden. So as a result, I end up with really rough and irritated hands at the end of the day. I've tried a lot of different lotions, and some work, some don't. Most of them feel a little bit too thin and don't really give me the relief that I'm looking for. So I came up with this gardener's hand cream recipe. I love it because it's moisturizing and nourishing without being greasy, and you can easily put it together in just a few minutes. So the ingredients we need for our gardener's hand cream is 1/4 cup of shea butter, 1 tablespoon of beeswax pellets. Now you can grab the beeswax chunks, but I find the pellets are just easier to melt and easier to measure. We're also going to use 1/8 cup of fractionated coconut oil, and then myrrh and cedarwood essential oils. I choose myrrh and cedarwood especially for this recipe because they are soothing to the skin and are known to help with skin imperfections. So the first thing we're going to do is heat up a little pot of water on our stove or use a double boiler. So here I'm just using a hot plate, and this saucepan has a few inches of water in the bottom. I'm going to use a stove top safe dish and place my shea butter and my beeswax together, and then carefully place this into my double boiler or my saucepan. And then we're just going to wait a few minutes and watch it, and it will start to slowly melt. You can also give it a quick stir as you wait to help speed up the process. So once the shea butter and beeswax has completely melted, you're going to carefully remove it off of your stove or hot plate and add the rest of the ingredients. So I like to wait around 5 to 10 minutes before I add my essential oils to this melted mixture, just because the heat can have a little bit of an effect on the oils, and we want to avoid that. But once it's cooled for a few minutes, we can proceed with the rest of the recipe. We're going to add 1/8 cup of fractionated coconut oil right into our mixture. And then we're going to add 10 drops each of myrrh oil and cedarwood oil. Give it another quick stir, make sure everything's incorporated. And then before it starts to set up, I like to grab a little glass container and pour it right in here. And then you're going to leave it for a couple hours, and it will be the consistency of a body butter or a thicker hand cream. And then it's just very simple to use. Just scoop a little bit out. A little bit goes a long ways, and apply it to your hands or any other skin that might need a little extra TLC, and you're going to love the results. Have you ever been outside in an evening, sitting around the campfire, and then you come in afterwards and have all those annoying little spots on your arms? We deal with that a lot, and my favorite solution is a simple bug bite stick. So what you're going to need for your homemade bug bite sticks is 3 tablespoons of coconut oil. Now it's important that this be the solid type of coconut oil, not the fractionated liquid kind, because it's going to affect the consistency of this recipe. So definitely pick 3 tablespoons of solid coconut oil, 2 tablespoons of beeswax pellets, and then 10 drops each of lavender essential oil and peppermint essential oil. I chose these oils for this recipe in particular for their soothing and cooling properties. So we're going to add our beeswax and our coconut oil to a double boiler or to a stovetop safe dish that's inside a saucepan filled with water. I'm going to add those in and then wait for them to melt. You want to simmer it gently, don't boil it too fast, and give it a stir as you're waiting to help everything incorporate and melt more quickly. Once your solution is completely melted, we're going to let it cool for just a few minutes and then add our essential oils. Now here comes the fun part. You're going to grab 4 to 5 empty lip balm tubes. Now you can grab these generally for really inexpensively at your local health food store, or if you're really frugal, you can save old chapstick tubes, clean them out, and repurpose them. And so we're going to take our empty tube and then gently pour our liquid solution into the tubes. It takes a little bit of a steady hand, but one trick I found is to take a plastic cup and you can squeeze the cup, and that acts as a little bit of a funnel so you can get it into this small opening. Then we're going to carefully set our tubes aside and let them cool and set up for around an hour or so. I find it's incredibly soothing for those annoying marks on my arms, and we use it all summer long. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today as I shared my favorite outdoor and gardening DIYs. Enjoy the rest of the webinar as you add more recipes to your arsenal.